Let me lick you up and down till you say stop, everybody. Welcome to the Football Ramble. David Raya's on the move, but Harry Maguire stays. It's Wednesday, 16th of August. I'm Marcus Speller.
I'm Jim Campbell.
I'm Vish and Raya.
And I'm a sickened Pete Donaldson.
Hello, everybody. Now, this is what happens when we let listeners choose the intro lines.
Oh, is this what's happened?
Yeah,
Good.
Gerard, hope you're happy with yourself.
That
Yes.
was a reference to the sort of R&B like pop band Another Level, wasn't it, from the 90s? That was one of their songs. He didn't just make you, spit a mild obscenity.
He's, keep it 90s.
Yeah.
Keep it 90s, yeah.
That was one of the more milder ones that was offered.
Nice.
So get your
Congratulations, everyone.
get your lines in. And by the way, don't give me a
Get your
whole
lines
verse.
Get your lines in.
Get your lines
Get your
in.
lines
It's a
in.
Wednesday.
What have we
Mark.
agreed to?
Don't give me a whole verse. Think about how this works, okay? There we are. Right, everybody. It is your wonderful Wednesday here at the Football Ramble. Big transfer news. Oh, it's big, big, big. It's Arsenal. They've announced the signing of David Raya on loan from Brentford. Arsenal have the option to buy old Raya for £27 million next summer.
Yeah.
Jim Campbell, another goalkeeper.
Yeah, it feels like old news, this one, because it's been in the works for so long. But the loan structure of it is really interesting. Apparently, it's to do with financial fair play. I was sort of surprised as to why Brentford might do us a favour, but Andy, the old brain in a jar, explained to me that Brentford was surprised by the sort of lack of market for him, which has been true for a lot of players, and that was why they kind of wanted to get a deal done in some way that would guarantee them money at some point. And it's an interesting one. I think he's coming in to try and take that number one shirt. He's someone that's been tracked by Arteta for a long time. He wanted him when Brentford were just coming out of the Championship, long before Aaron Ramsdale was at the club. And Inaki Kana, the goalkeeping coach at Arsenal, loves him as well. So I think this is going to be an interesting battle.
Does it kind of remove all peril of the shirt if you're on loan? Like a little bit?
It's a funny one, isn't it? I don't really know. I mean, there's a safety net there for him.
Yeah.
I find it interesting that he's also signed a new 2-year deal at Brentford with the option of one more year.
Well,
So if it
hence
comes-
the safety net.
Doesn't that smell a bit La Liga?
Ooh,
You know, like João
right.
Felix goes on loan
Yeah.
to Chelsea and,
Yeah.
oh, by the way, I've just signed a 5-year deal with Atletico Madrid.
Is it
or
just
whatever
keeping your car serviced?
I think so.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But also having it on Auto Trader.
Yeah, maybe it is. I think that if it goes badly, David Raya can go back to Brentford. And if it goes well, he can stay at Arsenal. But do you feel sorry for Aaron Ramsdale, Peter? He seems like a likeable chap.
I think
With his fish
it's
and chips.
a good thing for the Premier League because I think he's got an exciting freak out in him. So
Yeah.
I think this is only going to accentuate the possibility of this happening, Jim.
Yeah. I
Tricky
think-
for fantasy football, though.
Yeah,
People have got
less
Ramsdale.
good. Less good for
Or do you
Ramsdale.
put both? You get Raya on the bench.
Ramsdale came in and took the shirt from Bernd Leno. Bernd Leno and Emi Martinez had a big battle.
Bernd
It
Leno
does happen.
Emi Martinez and Bernd Leno, though, have gone on to bigger and better things. Martinez won the World Cup, and Bernd Leno, brilliant performance against Everton, kept a clean sheet for Fulham, of course.
We feel very silly about that.
So Vish, you were going to say something, perhaps agreeing with me.
Almost certainly not, no. But I kind of agree with the safety net element, even from Ramsdale's point of view, because when it looked like they were signing him, I was a bit like, I get pushing players, and like Ramsdale, I feel like is someone who is quite driven anyway, but it felt like, there's a potential there to upset him, and is it worth that risk? And evidently it is, and now it's softened a bit because it's a loan.
I do find it funny how, in this day and age, you have to have a really bombastic opinion if you're in the press. And well, I mean, I suppose that's been the case, but more
That's
so
bullshit,
now. on social-
Marcus, bullshit.
Yeah, thank you,
Yeah.
Peter. Well, anyway, you pick any issue and people have this. There are some people who are absolutely disgusted at Arsenal.
Yeah.
You see the press, it's a disgrace. You'll upset your goalkeeper. You absolute charlatans. What are you doing? It's kind of like, no, there is a healthy competition perhaps, but we shall see how it plays out, Jim.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And they both talked about the sort of goalkeepers union, which is an interesting thing to hear that discussed.
Who would you have
and
at the
also,
head of the goalkeepers union?
Ooh.
Mad Jens Lehmann?
Yeah, I was
Tim
going to
Flowers.
say Mad Jens, just because it would be fascinating to see it all implode immediately.
Yeah.
Where's the money gone? Where's the money gone? I burned it.
Rene Higuita, maybe?
KLF.
Last
Or he's
heard,
got the money, he's off on a scooter somewhere.
I think Jens was last heard on this podcast taking a chainsaw to his neighbour's garage, was it?
Sounds
because
about
it was in
right.
the way of his view. Something like that.
What, of the
Sounds about
telly?
right.
Of the vista outside Casa DNs.
Right.
But yeah, I think the drop off between Ramsdale and any other goalkeeper at the club was bad.
Yeah.
So that was a disaster waiting to happen. And instead, the disaster was the injury to Jurriën Timber. So we called that one wrong. Who knows?
Who knows, indeed. Staying with Premier League transfer chat, Chelsea are looking set to sign Michael Olise from Crystal Palace after activating the £35 million release clause on his Crystal Palace contract. There are suggestions, or allegations rather, in the press that some tapping up's been going on here. Chelsea obviously vigorously deny this, but sources close to Crystal Palace say that maybe there's been some naughty activity. But they are only allegations at the moment. Vish, you're a big fan of Michael Olise. Would you like to see him in that nice Chelsea shirt running around at the behest of Maurizio Pochettino?
Yeah, like, where's he going to sit? Where are any of them going to sit?
Yeah. The bench is only so big.
Yeah, it's got to be standing room only at Stamford Bridge. It's ridiculous. But
you want to see him play football.
I do.
Such a talented player, and you worry if he goes to Chelsea.
But he started out at Chelsea, didn't he? He was
Man City.
He was at Arsenal's academy, then went to Chelsea for a few years, and then went to Man City.
Oh, is that right? He's done the rounds.
He has, yeah. So
he's going backwards now.
He is, and then he ended up at Reading, so be careful what you wish for.
Indeed, yeah.
But I think he's an outstanding player. I feel like they need an adult. There's a lot of talented young players there, and I think he's someone who...
Yeah, that's what Thiago Silva's there for.
That's true, actually.
You can't get more of an adult than him, can you?
Yeah, maybe he's too much of an adult.
Yes,
It'll get to the point.
He needs to sit down. If they all got on the team bus, they'd have to offer Thiago Silva their seat.
He sits on the pregnancy seat.
Yeah.
It'll get to the point where every other player is wearing a bib and he'll just be telling them all what to do.
Yeah.
I thought you meant like every other player would
Like
be
they're on
wearing
a school trip.
Yeah, yes, yeah, like on the underground.
And they'd be feeding Farley's rusts. Rusks, no? Rusks?
Rusks, yeah.
Farley's rusks.
I haven't heard of them. Bicky pegs as well. You're going to use old
What's
references.
a Bicky pegs?
Bicky peg, yeah.
You still do you not feed a child Farley's rusts?
You can
Rusts. Rusks.
Bicky pegs
Why
are
can't
for
I
when
say
they're
rusks?
teething, the little things to nibble on. Yeah. Been around
Chew
since.
toy.
What is your little one like? What's his favourite food?
I'm not telling you.
It's bolognese.
Yeah, bolognese. But carry on.
Is that why you bought all this jerky in this morning?
Peach brought in a lovely selection of Biltop.
Bought you some tea as well, some Nelson Mandela tea from the South
And
African
one
shop.
can of beer.
I didn't bring in the can of beer. It was already there.
Oh, right.
Which is somehow worse.
I thought you put the
Planned
Mandela
ahead.
tea bags in the beer.
Yeah,
I thought
tea
that was
beer.
some sort of, okay,
Yeah.
interesting.
For freedom.
What on earth were you saying, Vish, a minute ago? No, you were saying about Michael Olise, you were worried that he's not going to play any football at Chelsea and he'd be a waste of talent like so many others.
That's not what I was saying.
Oh.
But I was saying, like, I kind of wonder about his playing time, and also he got to a stage where he was, well, no, as in like not his playing time actually, but like in terms of his influence, because it feels like he's quite low down in the queue of young players wanting to get in. But they've obviously signed him because of how he played at the back end of last season for Palace, and that felt like a bit of a reawakening of a talent who was in a bit of a slumber. And I don't just mean from his post-match interviews. He like clearly was like not really posting as many goal and assist numbers as he should have done. And it felt like he kind of got over that hump, but I kind of wanted him to have one more year at Palace, I think.
I know what you mean. Well, yeah, with Palace, with obviously Zaha going and Olise. It doesn't seem to matter though, because Hodgson's there and Eberechi is there. Yeah. And it's just one of those manager-player combos that just click perfectly.
He's going to be the main man for a while there, and it's going to be joyous to watch this season, I think.
Indeed it is.
If the numbers that we see are correct when it comes to, what Chelsea spent, it's coming up to nearly £1 billion in 18 months. It's just... What? How?
Where's it all coming from, and how can they do it? Everyone else has to sort of be bound by the FFP, but they just seem to just get away with it. I don't know what's
a lot
going
of
on.
it's to do with amortization, isn't it, and various clever kind of accounting things, which are all by all accounts above board. It's fascinating. I think it's quite risky as well, because they need to make money at a quite stupendous rate. They're going to have to generate through sales as well.
Do you think some football clubs think that like they've got like a get out of jail free card, just appeal? Yeah, that'll just
That'll kick you in long grass for you.
Press the appeal button, just keep pressing it. It's fine. We'll never
Super League will be here in a bit.
Yeah, it's like
boot this into the long grass.
It's a legal snooze button, isn't it?
Yeah.
Constantly.
Exactly. That's exactly.
I've lost all the files. They fell off a boat.
Gentlemen, Harry Maguire's move to West Ham has collapsed, it would appear. Which is a shame. West Ham said they got tired of waiting for Maguire to negotiate his exit terms with Manchester United. He was believed to be asking for around £7 million from Man U to leave the club. But sources close to Maguire said that he never agreed personal terms with West Ham, so it's all a bit strange.
Yeah.
But the fact is, he's staying at Manchester United to fight for his place. You got to admire it, Peter.
Do you?
Yeah. Fight for your dreams and all that.
There's a fight, and then there's just turning up, innit?
I
am who I am.
I don't know what to think of this because I want to see Maguire play football because he's a fine,
for one reason and one reason alone.
fine English centre half,
Yeah.
Peter.
Okay.
But it just, I don't know. The criticism he's received in the last few years, I think, has been over the top. I understand a little bit, but I think it's been way over the top, to be quite frank. I think it's quite trendy for people to jump on that bandwagon. And obviously the price tag and the practice he's playing for Manchester United, blah, 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 blah. To me, that looked like a good move to West Ham. That was probably his level as an established, solid Premier League side, who he would, I think, add something to. But quite clearly, he wants to stay at one of the biggest clubs in the land. I don't think they are anymore.
Well, no, you know what? No, but,
Yeah, you disagree with that point, yeah.
But I think he stays because it's the wages thing. Like, no, that was always going to be the stumbling block with Maguire's transfer out of Manchester United. It wasn't necessarily about like, will someone stump up a good enough transfer fee? It's about assuming those wages and whatever, what cut that Maguire would take, because he would have to take a cut, because bear in mind when United signed him, he was on the up, and they gave him a wage packet to reflect that. And that's totally on United. Like I find it, I think he's kind of unedifying from both sides, but I do find it a bit remiss when you hear people talking about insiders from Manchester United saying, "Oh God, I can't believe he doesn't want to take a wage cut and stuff like that." It's like, you don't get to dictate that. I'm sorry. Like that's you've been had here. If you think you've been had, then that's entirely on you. But like, we see this so many times, and it might even be a case. We might even be in a David Raya situation where he goes on loan, and there's a bit of the wages that are covered by United for this loan period. Say maybe at West Ham for the rest of the season, and then there is a view to buy at the end of that.
This has got deadline day written all over it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
I can't imagine that Maguire will be there post the slamming shut of the window, because he must know that as hard as he might fight for his place, if he can't force his way back in, and it's very clear that Ten Hag doesn't want him to force his way back in, his spot in the England squad is massively under threat. Gareth Southgate has even publicly said that, which is quite a rare thing.
It is a rare thing. But I think what Vish described there is the solution, which perhaps no one at Manchester United or West Ham have thought about. But there we are. So Maguire is going nowhere at the moment. And at the time of recording, Alexander Mitrovic hasn't gone anywhere. But the Saudis are back, and they've got a bigger, better, and bolder bid for him. £47 million.
47 million for that goal record in the Premier League last season.
Yeah,
that seems low for me.
Do you think so?
Low.
Yeah.
I'm glad you
it's
said
low.
that, because
all the talk is that it's quite high. I don't think it's low.
yeah, but I think Mitrovic is underrated in this country, as you know.
Yeah.
I genuinely do. Like, you look at his scoring record internationally and in the Premier League last season, where he missed 9 matches, all through the fault of others. No, through his fault.
Gravity.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah.
28 as well, so some decent seasons left in him.
In his prime.
So it's a real shame.
I really hope that he doesn't go, obviously, and after we finish recording,
He will be gone.
If he has his own way, I think that there is hundreds of thousands of reasons why he wants to go, and I kind of get it from his point of view. But the thing is, with Fulham, like they don't need to sell.
No,
That's the thing. They really don't.
I think it's quite refreshing to see a player going in that direction in his prime.
Yep.
So I was literally going, just let me fucking go. Everyone else is like,
This much
I've done
money.
everything I could possibly achieve. Like, you fucking let me go. I'm brilliant. Let me go. Let me go. I want the money.
I proved Luke Moore wrong again.
The last time this happened, he said he'd never play for Fulham again, which he has since done. So now they've come back. What, is he going to start just like chinning their players? On the pitch? Like,
God knows.
you thought that was a protest?
Yeah.
Actually, Mitro unleashed would be something to behold, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
We thought we'd seen him angry, but we don't know yet.
No,
we don't know how
absolutely
bad
not.
this can get.
I simply don't know. But I mean, obviously Marco Silva was, at one point had a little glance over there, but very much put that to bed.
Right.
Mitrovic is the one that could go. And there's still rumours about Liverpool trying to get João Palhinha, despite the injury. And it's just like, it was so good last season. Just let us have one more season.
For crying
Just
out loud.
one more.
Yeah.
Flipping Nora. But elsewhere in the Saudi Pro League, Al-Hilal have announced the signing of Neymar from PSG, the most predictable transfer of the 21st century, ladies and gentlemen.
I mean, on this side of things, it is very much like these sort of players are the more the the big ticket kind of items. They're like, but it is a bit like passing a fruit bowl and going, "Those nectarines need to be eaten." Like that whole league, that whole league is just a bit like they need to be eaten soon.
We'll have that.
Yeah.
Oh, that pair!
But
It's
saying
just looking at me.
Are you saying the whole league, the
whole league is
Saudi league is
nectarines.
basically banana bread?
Yes, it is.
Right.
Little bits of penicillin growing all over it.
It's dry banana bread.
I mean, I'll eat it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's so squishy. Maybe I'll make a soup out of it. It's the soup league.
Yeah, I think, but with Neymar going there, the report suggested that he tried to stay in Europe, and Barcelona wanted to get him on loan.
Yeah.
And they just will not learn, because and then someone turned around and went, "You're going to have to offload 4 players."
Yeah.
And
they do it. They would do it for Neymar.
Yeah, there was just one of them was just not good. But yeah, so I think he sort of begrudgingly left. But it's such an interesting one with Neymar because, he won the treble at Barcelona, was part of one of the greatest forward lines we've ever seen with Messi and Luis Suarez, of course. And he did that. You can't take that away from him.
No.
And he's one of the most talked about players in recent years. And yet, Jim Campbell.
Well, you'd argue he took it away from himself.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no market for Neymar now, so this is a convenient one for everyone. As Pete's mentioned with the fruit bowl there. Fruit Donaldson.
Fruit Donaldson.
No market for old Neymar. Sounds like Jeff Bridges is involved somewhere as well.
But it, essentially, this
My
to
sister
me,
were out the house.
Neymar's career will be remembered for the wrong priorities, I think.
Sadly, I think you're right.
Yeah.
I understand that it was
A thoroughly
the
modern
PSG
story. Would that be fair to say?
Absolutely. The PSG project was sold to him as an opportunity to go and be the main man somewhere, to go and be the best player in the world outside the shadow of Messi. It didn't work out that way. It was very predictable, really, that it wouldn't work out this way. The man's currently building his own beach. Does he need the Saudi money? No.
Yeah.
I mean, the idea that it was impossible for him to stay in Europe is quite damning about football, isn't it?
Yeah.
That if the football system is so complex and convoluted that one of its stars can't stay there.
Yeah. Well, he's done himself out money wise of moves to the Premier League, and well, obviously Barcelona in the situation they are now, but that's where it is.
Yeah.
But the Premier League have looked at him and thought, here's this megastar. No, we're all right actually.
Do you think he's...
Although when
Chuck him in the bowl.
you say he's building his own beach, I sort of go, I've got a bit of respect for that.
Also, is it me, but that doesn't sound that impressive.
What, building your own beach?
Yeah.
The amount of
Just a bit
sand
of
you
I
sand.
need.
think it's going to be a good beach, though.
You reckon? How long? Would it have a little volleyball court?
It will have whatever he wants.
Right, okay.
Is that how you measure a good beach?
Good beach, volleyball court. A dog's allowed on it.
Yeah.
Through the summer months.
That's true.
Are you a fan of that or not?
Oh, massive fan.
Dogs on beaches?
Yeah, because you can't
He's
really.
got a dog, hasn't he?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering,
I'm very
yeah.
much. I'm a stakeholder.
You're in the pocket of big dog.
I'm a stakeholder, and that's why dogs like me. They love steaks.
Exactly, yeah. But yeah.
So do you think Neymar's happy? Because
No.
I kind of I go back and forth in my head about this because I put myself in his shoes and all that talent, you could have done anything. And we talk about him being the Justin Bieber of the football world. But Justin Bieber's happy.
Hang on, who's mentioned? I don't liken him to Justin Bieber.
No, I'm saying
Who do you compare it to?
we have talked about him as being a Justin Bieber type character within football.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Do you mean Nick Carter, the '90s version of Justin Bieber?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of someone who left the band.
JC Chazet, is that who
Who was the one who dropped out of
dropped out?
Harry Styles' group, One Direction?
Zayn Malik?
So, yeah, I think he's a bit more like the Zayn Malik.
I had Venn diagram here for some reason.
Yeah.
Venn diagram.
Yeah, because he left Barcelona basically. Barcelona's One Direction is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And he left
I suppose.
early, and then
But there's we always knew, as Jim alluded to, we always kind of knew that his career would go down this path, and it only seems to be when he puts on a Brazil shirt that he's like,
but even then,
there is a sense of duty.
Yeah, but even that, yeah.
And I say sense of duty, not just to country, but also to his talent. I think that's the moment where he's like, right, they need me to
I'm
be
watching
Neymar,
now, yeah.
Neymar the footballer, not Neymar the everything else.
Is that scene sometimes typical with Brazilian absolute megastars? Like that's it. Like Brazil as a shirt is such a heavy, big one that people just feel like they
Look,
just
we've seen Brazilian footballers many times come to Europe and do great things, and then they kind of go, "Yeah, I've done that," and they concentrate playing Brazil.
and we go,
It is
well, of
also
course
worth-
you want to be here.
Yeah.
It's worth mentioning that Neymar's had some quite serious injuries.
Yeah.
So he might be 31, but there's there's been a lot of damage to his body over that time.
31. I'm so old.
Oh, yeah. But I think though, to sort of give a little bit of fair play to Neymar, like I say, he won a treble with Barcelona and was part of one of the greatest front lines. And I think in years to come, actually, when you look back and the dust has settled, he won. I think he scored the winning penalty in the Olympic gold medal final for Brazil, which was a big deal for Brazil. It's a thing they hadn't won. He did that. He's won, probably won a Copa America or two, I'd imagine. I can't remember if he was injured for it or not, but forgive me for that. But
he also won 13 trophies at PSG. And it's easy to sniff at that, but
true.
They're not meaningless.
Yeah, and the goals he scored for Brazil, was he the top scorer in their national team's history. Just not too shabby.
He's like an off Satsuma, isn't he?
Exactly. But something that will never change is Cristiano Ronaldo winning trophies, and he won one at the weekend with Al Nassr, apparently. Nice to see.
Didn't it look really like the World Cup? Didn't it look a little bit like the World Cup? I think I saw a shot of it and it looked a bit
I would expect that from Saudi Arabia. We've hosted this tournament. Why not give us the real one?
That is what they want, isn't it? So
big time.
Everyone has different punditry styles. I'm fairly measured. I think there's an argument.
Wasn't he in one direction?
I think there's an argument that Cristiano Ronaldo's ego has possibly destroyed European football,
right?
In him legitimising Saudi and seeing the beginning of this exodus.
Right.
I also think he hates the fact that other people are getting attention there.
You think?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that'd be funny.
He was going to be the main guy for it, but now it's already over.
None of them
He's
have
made
won a
his
trophy,
private
though.
beach, and then the council have given everyone access.
And he didn't want dogs on there.
Yeah.
Now they're everywhere.
Why that guy's got barbecue?
So in among all this,
giving him so much attention? He's just bringing you a ball back.
in among all this Saudi chat and Ronaldo, it was so nice to hear the council get a mention.
Yeah.
Just slowly bring us right back down.
Saudi local council.
Exactly, yeah. But Al Nassr are said to be very interested in signing Alisson Becker. They're trying to mug off Liverpool and oddly Fulham.
Aren't
they?
Aymeric Laporte is potentially off, I believe, to Al Nassr as well.
Yeah.
It might have been one of the other ones. I think it was Al Nassr.
Because Eric Bailly was going to go there.
He should go, shouldn't he?
But then Laporte, they got Laporte instead, yeah.
I find it interesting, something that I haven't mentioned thus far about Saudi Arabia, but Alisson Becker and Roberto Firmino, if I may just sort of bring this, both very, very strong evangelical Christians, going to a country where you can't do that.
But I mean, that's kind of the whole part of this Saudi thing. And I don't think it just pertains to religion. It pertains to like what people have chosen to stand up for in the past. And I'm speaking about Jordan Henderson in here specifically. But it's basically like, what are you willing to risk?
You compromise.
Yeah. And this is what they're willing to risk. This is what they're willing to compromise.
I was very much he was blowing up on in that performance.
Oh
my God.
Yeah, you can't do those recovery runs anymore.
But that's interesting, isn't it? So this is probably, I believe this is around as hot as it will get in Saudi Arabia, and it will cool down as the year goes on. But is there a danger that the league's just going to be absolutely shit because it's too hot?
It was like that Man United match, that Legends match we saw the weekend.
Like German tanks in the snow.
Yeah, I wouldn't base it all on a boy from Sunderland and how he gets on in this temperature. People from very different parts of the world, but we shall see. Gentlemen, let's end the half talking about something quite serious, actually. Mason Greenwood. It's been reported that Manchester United have delayed announcing a decision over the future of Mason Greenwood. The club had intended to make the call on him before the start of the Premier League season, but now they want to explain the findings of their internal investigation with key stakeholders. And it is possible that there will be no resolution until the September international break. And, we've been hearing bits and pieces all around. This has been rumbling on for a little while. It had initially been reported that the club would consult Manchester United's women's team when deciding Greenwood's future. Now, the club insists the decision will be taken by Chief Executive Richard Arnold and will be based on the facts established by the club's investigation. There's a lot here, and it's obviously the attention on Greenwood, for a while now has been wholly negative. Jim, what do you make of all this?
Firstly, I think it's appalling that United had made it public that they were going to consult the members of the women's team. They're preparing for one of the biggest games of their lives on the other side of the world. They've got all this stuff thrown at them now, and also it won't be their decision. They're just being consulted on it. The decision will be taken by someone else, but it puts them in the firing line either way of whatever that decision is, when they're going to have no influence on it, and they are going to be blamed for it and held responsible for it. It is spectacularly short-sighted.
Yeah, and to add to that, the Katie's Elatoon and Mary Earps of course, in the Lionesses World Cup squad were targeted on social media with fans petitioning for them to give the green light for Greenwood to return.
What's always going to happen?
It's
Yeah, I mean, it's very titillating to watch like these. I mean, very online, idiots basically just yapping on about put our boy back in the forward line at Manchester United. But I mean, fundamentally, it's been 6 months, and they still feel a need to make a decision one way or the other. A burden of guilt has to be lower for Manchester United than the Crown Prosecution Service. It just has to be, and
because the charges have been dropped.
Yeah.
So in pure,
they felt like they didn't have enough to go to trial, which means not guilty or guilty. It doesn't mean any of that.
Indeed, but in this country, though, like he is innocent in the eyes of the law. But that is just living your life in an incredibly.
He's not guilty.
He's not.
Sorry.
You either found guilty or not guilty.
Yeah.
And
innocence doesn't come into it.
This is nothing. Yeah.
This is it.
Yeah.
But hence you're innocent until proven guilty. So he, at the moment, but this is the thing with the justices. I'm saying if you're living your life in a very, very legalistic way, that man has not been found guilty of anything. But the devil is often in the detail.
But that audio is out there.
Yeah,
right? We know why it didn't go to trial.
Yeah,
it was because a key witness essentially didn't want to carry on with any.
And
but your point, Peter, that the
they're not the court,
Right.
Manchester United,
Yeah.
and the only two questions you need to ask is: was that on you in the video? Did you do that? And when's your fucking taxi coming? Like, there's no other conversation that needs to be had. Didn't need to take 6 months, and all it says at this point in time is that if you perform on the pitch, this is one big boys club, and we will protect you, and we will just look after you, and as long as you do the stuff, everything will be fine with your career. Every single week, we have to sort of have a conversation about what we can talk about and what we don't talk about on the show, because of how many fucking Premier League clubs have suspected rapists in their squad who have been in a situation where something might go to court. Look at the way that people were talking about Benjamin Mendy on social media after he was found not guilty.
Yep.
The way that other footballers talk about footballers who get into that situation and find themselves back on the streets effectively, which the court made a decision, something happened, and now we're in that situation. But it just basically speaks to every person, not even woman, not even girl. We always talk like this kind of like nebulous kind of like, what does it say to a female fan? What does it say to a young fan who wants to get in the game? It just speaks to humanity that we're not good enough, and that men just look after men in the global game, and it's just shit. It's just
I think to clarify my earlier point, sorry, Jim, is with regard to the whole sort of guilty, not guilty thing, I'm saying that if you live your life solely by legalities, then, it comes up a cropper. Because clearly, if Manchester United hide behind the fact that, the charges are dropped, therefore it's all fine and dandy, that just doesn't sit right with an awful lot of people.
Yeah, and the repercussions for that might be that Mason Greenwood sues Man United as Benjamin Mendy will be suing Man City, but fine. that has to be fine.
And that's part of the entrance fee, isn't it, for being a football club? You've got a legal fund. You've probably got a bigger legal fund than the bloke who you're playing to play football.
Yeah.
So just back yourselves.
So we talk a lot about how footballers are human beings and how when bad things happen to them, we have to have sympathy. That goes the other way.
Yeah.
Human beings are capable of terrible, terrible things. And at that point, clubs kind of talk about them and behave around them as if they are solely assets whose value needs to be protected, and that is the sole point of them. And clubs need to remember that they're an important part of communities. They need to behave with a responsibility to the people that come into that club and the people they represent when it comes to issues like this. Now, obviously, we can talk about Mason Greenwood. Some of them we can't talk about. They all move at different paces legally, and I would apply that to every situation.
But fundamentally, 9 times out of 10, if a footballer's in that situation, he shouldn't be playing for a football club because he's already in a situation that I would say morally does not mean that you should be drawing a wage from a football club.
I agree.
Because you're already in that situation. And Mason Greenwood's in fucking Pro Evo this year.
Yeah. Well, you know what you said about like the burden of proof being lesser on a football club rather than the CPS. You were in a situation here where the idea that like Mason Greenwood's football talent is going to be played off against his commercial value. Really, that's the only thing Manchester United are considering right now. Let's be 100% truthful about that, because if they were considering anything else, we wouldn't be talking about this right now.
Yeah.
We'd have talked about it a few months ago when they made a decision. Yeah. So fundamentally, it comes down to them wanting a young, talented striker, and the other side of the hallway, down the hallway, I suppose, at Old Trafford, is the consideration of sponsors pulling out. So this is not about women. This is not about right and wrong, and it kind of hasn't been since it was thrown back at Manchester United in terms of, right, you need to deal with this now. And I think whatever decision Manchester United come to, there was a right decision and a wrong decision. And even if they come to the right decision, they'd have taken it in a very, very wrong way, and they've basically, to my mind, they have disgraced themselves already. They have a chance to do the right thing. I don't really think they're going to take it, to be honest. That is my gut feel, and it's not based on anything beyond the fact that you kind of look around the game and we're surrounded by this kind of shit.
But if there is a 1 percentile footballing aspect to this, Manchester United over successive seasons have been derailed by sideshows. Sideshow after sideshow after sideshow, and it's affected them on the pitch. Why are they... For Mason fucking Greenwood,
his talent would be. People say that's
but that's
in the formula. That's jammed into the formula.
That is the answer to your question. Really, it's because he's good at football. That's all it takes. If you want to be a shit bloke, be good at football.
Yeah, here we are. All right, let's have a quick break.
To run and does. Can he play a colleague through? It's Jacob Murphy released. Murphy one-on-one. Jacob Murphy to win it. Just put it in the net.
It seems a long time ago doesn't it, Peter?
Still getting his game.
Yeah.
In the Champions League, no doubt.
No doubt. Welcome back to Football Ramble, everybody. Vitushan, what on earth is that on your screen?
I have.
Oh no! Don't say that.
You know when someone types stuff into your browser and you get a bit nervous? I have an email from Johnny. As you were calling Antonio Conte the Parmesan Pulis, can I also refer to him as the El Dente Allardyce? The fancy Allardyce, which isn't fancy, just crunchy and shit. I am going
unfair on Conte,
I'm taking umbrage with that because El Dente pasta is actually very good.
Yeah.
And the reason it's so good is because when it's in that state, it can absorb sauce better.
It's got that little bit more something.
Yeah,
but is there something to be said for when you first bite into it, you're a bit like, there's something unnatural. There's something like, they've not cooked this right.
Yeah, so if you get like good pasta,
that's where you go.
yeah, exactly. I'm in a Bella pasta. They've just done this wrong.
I suppose it depends.
Medium raw pasta.
How would you like your pasta cooked, sir?
Pasta
rare,
tartare.
please.
Can I have as old as that peach in that bowl, please?
In Japan, they in the pubs, the British theme pubs usually, they just chuck
chuck
spaghetti.
Furniture.
They chuck a spaghetti in just hot oil and fry it,
Yeah,
and then cover it in salt. Nice little
what
snack.
Screams His Majesty more than that?
Desecration of someone else's food.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah. You're damn right. But yeah, I think this is going a bit too far on Conte. The man has won league titles.
Yeah. He'll be back.
Yeah, but he's not here, is he? So fucking...
Yeah, all right, fine. Well, you can get in touch with the show at any time. We're at Football Ramble on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok and YouTube. Or you can email us, show@footballramble.com. Right, gentlemen, enough of all the sort of the negativity and horrible stuff in football. Let's talk about something that's good and pure. Newcastle United launched the first episode of their documentary, We Are Newcastle United, at the end of last week.
They certainly are, aren't they, Marcus?
You can't deny
that was very Newcastle United.
That was accurate.
Yeah.
That was absolutely accurate. We've got no problem with the title. But everything else, Peter, seems to be up for question.
I mean, I did sort of do a little sort of mini sort of review of this on YouTube.
Very enjoyable.
I was called a salty maggot, a sad Mackham bastard, and a Mackham twat. And people found it pathetic that I was trying to belittle billionaires with sad little comments.
Oh. But the thing, though, Peter. You're always punching down,
Always
aren't you?
punching
Always-
down on those bloody millionaires.
In fact, to be honest with you, your fists don't go as low
No.
into those billionaires,
Yeah.
do you? You have to stomp on them.
Sad Mackham.
Yeah.
What was the
I mean,
first
sad, yes.
one? Salty bastard.
Salty maggot.
Salty Bay
maggot.
Bastard.
Salty
Salty Bay
maggot.
Bastard.
Salty maggot. Yeah. We're
When
back in the
did we-
British pubs, aren't we?
When did we become a world of bootlickers?
Yeah, the real king. It's proper
Unreal.
kinky stuff, innit?
Yeah.
Get that boot in my fucking mouth.
Humiliate me, Your Excellency. Thanks for the edit button. Fucking losers.
It's
Yeah.
the
Nobody's
documentary's
wrong.
something else.
Nobody is ever wrong about anything. If you drive a car, you'll know this. Nobody can ever go, oh, yeah, what I did just there, what I said, oh, yeah, you're absolutely, yeah, I'll have a rethink about that. No, everyone is completely ingrained and
Little
completely
tribal
entrenched
allegiances.
on everything they do. I don't care what they've done. I'm wearing this shirt. I am
please.
It's just shit.
If you ever clip anything, clip this, please.
So, if I may, cutting on you slightly there, Pete. To me, I kept expecting Adam Curtis to turn up in the voiceover because it feels like found footage of some dystopian kind of historical unfolding.
Yeah.
Like some of the tone of it is incredible. You can see it's self-produced. There's a bit in it where the Newcastle squad have gone out to Saudi for some warm weather training, and Amanda Staveley and I forget the other guy's name, but someone else involved are trying to get the players and staff over to Yasser Al Rumayyan's house.
A big party.
Yeah, a big party.
100 people.
And they're going, it's 100 people. Is there going to be room? There's 100 people. And he's like, yeah, that's fine. And it's really, it's in there as this aspirational display of like, look how, we're so rich, guys. We're so rich. Isn't that
100
cool?
people,
Wouldn't you, like 100 people in our house, that's nothing. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Just, it's so gauche. It's so fucking tacky. It is just that the whole organisation is just fucking lame.
Well, I'd not watched much of the other documentaries, but I just assumed that it was a little more kind of even-handed and not just self-funded propaganda. I mean, this is very much self-funded propaganda, but by doing that and sort of leaning into the celebration of the takeover, it's basically 101 Dalmatians with Jeff Hendrick. It's just someone coming in and going,
Spot stripes.
"Nice club you got there. I think we'll probably rescue you." It's like the music you're using doesn't sound like a rescue.
Yeah.
And it's kind of there's a few scenes. It all sort of kicks off with Jonathan Pearce spotting, or the cameras spotting. Amanda Staveley in the crowd.
Is it not?
Oh no, this is interesting. That's financier Amanda Staveley sat there, and according to reports, she's been tasked with searching for a Premier League club that her wealthy clients want to buy.
It's just
How about that?
Yeah.
it's the
Tell me
raw
more.
It's the raw general manager.
It is. It really is. I mean, is it not sort of like it focuses on her more than the squad?
It focuses quite a lot on Yasser Al Rumayyan, and I say it like that simply because Alan Shearer has to say that man's name about 50 times
is
during the
he
show,
doing?
and he cannot say it. Well, he's clearly said it wrong so many times that they've just patched in other
Chairman
versions.
and Governor of Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund, Yasser Al Rumayyan, has flown in for the occasion.
That's the best version of it. That's the best
wasn't a
version
bad
of it.
version.
But it wasn't a bad version. But he is a disgrace for taking this job on.
but
He really is. I mean, when he says stuff like this,
Beginning, the big issue was actually they said the PIF was Saudi state, which is absolutely rubbish. It's not Saudi Arabia, it's the Public Investment Fund.
Yeah, I mean, some journalists, they really don't understand what PIF has.
In order to buy the club, the owners had to provide legally binding assurances to the Premier League.
if I was his press, I'd be like, you're not saying that.
Yeah.
Also, do you not think when they gave him the script for the voiceover, they should have given him time before they started recording it? It really sounds like he's reading it for the first time. There's bits where he slows down, and it's like he's going from one line to the other, or like one page to the other.
The run through was clearly better than the actual.
Yeah,
but
I like. I also love the bit where they clearly ran out of stock footage, and they were like, "Oh, what do we? I'll just fucking show the chandelier again."
Yes. Show the chandelier.
But
Yeah.
with Shearer though, like his nose was put out of joint because when Ashley was there, did Ashley ban him from going to the stadium?
They
or-
renamed Shearer's bar, didn't they?
Did they?
Yeah.
So he
Number 9.
because Shearer was critical of him.
Yeah.
And so there was all that, and that's the whole point about this Saudi takeover because it was so bad under Ashley and so ridiculous that anybody coming in, and so Shearer's like, yeah, well, sign me up for the bit. I'll be in the pocket of the PIF.
Not now. I mean, he's got clever people around.
No, but I know, but it's piss poor from Shearer. It absolutely is. I understand why he was brought in, but it from the PIF's point of view, which is nothing to do with Saudi Arabia. Let's be clear. Get him on side, get them all on side.
Oh yeah, but I mean, like there'll be, I almost guarantee, a Legends Philippe Albert versus Man United match sooner rather than later. 'Cause it's not something anyone's sort of really done a lot of, and they'll all be back and they'll all be on the payroll.
Would you go to it? Would you go to it?
I'd watch it on the telly.
would you, Pete? If you keep going on like this, they'll come for you.
It's lucky that we can...
I'm making it spacious, so the money goes up.
Yeah, I see what you're doing.
They've got you as well. It's lucky. It's genuinely lucky that we can criticise Saudi because if you're a Saudi, you can't do that. They're putting influencers in jail recently.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's I think the worst of it because I kind of feel like in the documentary, and the word documentary doesn't really cover this PowerPoint, internal PR PowerPoint, sure. But like, I feel like players like Longstaff, who's pictured going to schools and stuff, painting these bird boxes in magpie colours and stuff. Like, players like Trippier. He knew the cost of entry. He knew that he'd be part of this absolute shit show. But like people like Longstaff has been there such a long time. It's his hometown club and stuff. I feel really sorry that he's been treated.
Leave him alone. Leave him alone.
And I think that's kind of going to be the projected sort of journey of the rest of this piece of work, let's say, because there's still a few episodes to go. But when they sort of intercut, and
could get better. Could get better.
Yeah. I mean, I think I would recommend they stop focusing on people who are trying to pretend they're not a Bond villain by saying stuff like this.
Well, that's even better, right? I mean, he knows what not to do.
About Eddie Howe getting relegated. That music, man.
The soundtrack's
he knows
amazing,
what to do, pressing a button on his desk.
Did they choose that music?
Yeah,
because there's a lot of dread.
It's a lot of dread music.
A lot of doom and dread.
Yeah, it's very weird.
It's Adam Curtis, you're right.
Yeah.
There was
Thank you so much! There's a man and he's crying in the crowd. Thank you so much! Thank you so... And then it cuts to Stavely looking over.
Yeah.
Mama Stavely. Oh,
What's she
I
pointing
did this.
at him?
get him.
What's she got under that coat?
Well, I think we should bring in some more sort of quaint and likeable news coming from Newcastle. You may have seen this on social media that Sandro Tonali was spotted in Newcastle Wetherspoons on Monday night because a Newcastle fan saw that there was a table booked under the name Tonali. Now, I don't think there's many Tonalis in the Newcastle area thinking, oh, right, who's this? And he turned up and it was him.
I like to see it.
Love that.
Maybe it's part of this. Maybe it's all PR though. Get tons of spoons. They'll like that.
It's pigs.
Can you
pigs in their trough?
Salty
send one of the millionaires down to the trough.
Can you still get that thing where you can order drinks to people's table?
Yes, I believe you can. Yeah.
Okay, that'd be pretty good.
Very cheap people on my Facebook. It's demanding.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Oh, I'm sat in like table 17.
I know for a fact you earn more than me. You idiot.
So obviously Newcastle started the Premier League season very, very impressively against Aston Villa 5-1.
I did not call a squad thin, thank you. That was producer Charlie, and you misappropriated one of his messages.
It was Vish.
I didn't say that.
Yeah, you did.
That might have been Luke.
Anyway, that seems to be the vibe here, to pass it on to someone else. That's kind of what we're doing.
Thank you very much.
Quick, show me chandelier.
I love this. Sir Alex Ferguson said this week that the team who impressed him the most in the opening weekend of the Premier season was Aston Villa. Hang on. Mind games. What's going? Who's he doing this for? Is he worried that Newcastle might finish above
you cannot.
Manchester United? Like, I was like, he's getting back into it. What is this about? After Manchester United versus Wolves, I think he might have said it ahead of that game. I can't remember. It was definitely on Monday. He said it. What's going on, Vish?
I think people should leave him alone. Like, just let him be old.
No, he was asked this, and he's getting. Vish, he doesn't need to say Aston Villa impressed him the most.
Even during the Wolves game, someone asked him to stand up so they could get to their seat. And I was like, I just walked the other way.
Yeah.
He's 81 years old.
I don't know.
That's where he sits. Leave him.
That is a mind game, Vish.
Yeah.
And I'm enjoying it. It's lovely to see. Right. We've got to mention this. Loads of people on Twitter tagged us. Someone on X, as it's now known, thought they managed to have tracked down the hearse that did the donuts on the pitch at Gateshead versus Dunstan last month. You remember that mad story of people driving a hearse on the pitch, and it was all very strange and whatnot.
The dynamics of doing a donut in a hearse must be quite difficult.
Quite impressive, really.
Yeah.
But apparently it's proved not to be the same model. Oh. So the search goes on.
So someone just found a hearse.
Someone found a hearse and thought, "Oh, this must be it," and apparently it wasn't. So
the way that it's framed is like it did donuts on the pitch, and they're like, "Right, fucking, we've got to ditch the car now. Ditch the hearse. Let's burn it out on the bridge and let's run."
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Tonight, everybody, the UEFA Super Cup returns. Pops up every now and then. This time of the year, Manchester City take on Sevilla tonight. Ooh, how about that, Jimmy? What do you reckon? It's not the Europa League.
No, it's go Sevilla. I don't know. I don't feel particularly strongly about it.
Your side just beat Manchester City in a similar kind of cup.
Exactly.
Right.
I'd like to see that tradition continue.
Right. Okay. There we go. Reported that Kevin De Bruyne is out for up to 4 months due to injury.
Yeah, that's a shame.
Certainly for my predictions.
Yeah, it is a bad one. Pep couldn't resist a little dig at Manchester United, though, in the pre-match press conference, which suggests that Ferguson's mind games have got to him for some reason. He said, "I have a feeling, excuse my arrogance, that Man City are favourites for the Super Cup." Now, you are favourites because you won the Champions League. They won the Europa League. It's clear. It's all mapped out, Pep. You don't need to say that. We have quality, but of course, we know there are no favourites. I saw the second leg of Sevilla versus United. United were weak. Sevilla can be strong. Surely a dig at Jose Mourinho would have been better. Like they overcame.
There's a lot of digs to be had. Let's not forget that.
Yeah.
Enjoy the digs.
Enjoy the digs.
We're only in August.
We're only in August. Right enough. Did you see, gentlemen, last night in the Champions League qualifiers that everyone's favourite Faroe Island side, KI Klaksvik, lost to Molde in extra time in the third round of
enemies of football?
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, third round of qualifying for the Champions League. Klaksvik now go into the final round of Europa League qualifying. Now, they are still guaranteed to be the first side from the Faroe Islands to reach the group stages of a European competition because they'll go into the conference. Because you know what it's like. Once you get your foot in the door, UEFA are very keen for you to compete in European competition. So they are going to play, but we just don't know which one yet. Could be the Europa League, could be the Conference League. But we do know that Rangers are into the Champions League playoff round again and playing PSV again, which is quite interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. There we are, everybody.
That's all you're getting.
That's all you're getting. Now, England are just about to start their World Cup semi-final against Australia, so we're off to watch that.
Yeah.
So at the time of recording, of course, we don't know. The game hasn't kicked off yet. But when you listen to this, England would have won or Australia would have won. So what would we say to Australia, Vish, if they've won? Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
There we are. But of course, if the Lionesses have won, Vish, what do we say? There we are. He sounds just like you, that guy.
They know not what to do.
Yeah.
Or what not to do.
Indeed. Well, one of them will be playing Spain soon enough in the World Cup final. So, yeah, there we are. But make sure you do listen to Upfront later today. They'll be recording a podcast reacting to that game straight after full time. So search Upfront in your podcast app. So all your Women's World Cup football chat is on Upfront. We have a dedicated women's football show to do all that, and which is why we haven't been talking about it that much. Because we want you to listen to the girls because they actually know what they're talking about. There we are. Right. That's in your podcast app. Search Upfront. Thank you very much for listening to the Football Ramble, part of the Acast Creator Network. Patreon subscribers, don't go anywhere because every Wednesday we're bringing an extended Ramble episode just for you beauties. So if you're signed up, keep listening for more Ramble goodness. And if not, get yourself over to our Patreon by hitting the link in the show notes or search patreon.com/Football Ramble to subscribe for just $5 a month. But don't forget to follow us on Twitter, TikTok, YouTube and Instagram at Football Ramble and subscribe to us in your podcast app. There we are, everybody. Thank you, Pete Donaldson.
Farewell, everyone.
Thank you, Jim Campbell.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vidushan Antaraja.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. See you soon.
Cheers for watching another fantastic clip from the Football Ramble podcast. Make sure you click like on this video and subscribe to the channel, which means you will not miss a single upload.